All right, so welcome everyone. Welcome from the University of Toronto today. That's where I'm going to I'm going to show you the charts today and comment the charts with you, and I'm going to answer all your questions. Welcome everyone. Welcome to today's webinar. This is the FS3 Tokyo Open Live Room, our daily show where we feature real trading at the very heart of the Asian session with Giuseppe Basile, with me, FibStalker. This is a daily show from Monday to Thursday, 7 p.m. to 7:45 p.m. EST. All right. So thanks for joining in. We have Kerry, Roland Dion, Adinda, and Desi, and we'll wait a couple of minutes here as the usual suspect will join in. Today, I'm going to review a lot of markets. We're going to do kind of a roll over on all the markets we follow, and we look at relevant levels that have traded or they are trading, as well as targets in the daily and 4-hour time. So thanks for joining in. It's going to be a very packed session. It's going to be slightly smaller. The duration is going to be slightly smaller, but it's going to be very packed, and we're going to cover a lot of markets. So thanks for joining in. As you know, if you know my work, you also know that I take risk very seriously. Indeed, risk is trader's job number one. So I always like to remind a disclaimer: trading Forex and its derivatives, futures, options, and CFDs, and other instruments with retail off-exchange transaction involves a substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. You may lose all of or more of your initial investment. Leverage can work for you as well as against you. It magnifies gains as well as losses. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. And I would also invite you to please review the FS3 risk disclosure on the website, the new one and the old one. The information, including commentary and trade ideas provided in this webinar, should not be relied upon as a substitute for extensive independent research which should be performed before making your investment decisions. All the information I'm going to provide and the material are for your general information and educational purposes. I, Giuseppe Basile, FibStalker Consulting Incorporated, FS Street, will not be responsible for any losses incurred in investments by attendees as a result of any information that is provided in this webinar. All right, so that's just in case you want to open the chat. There were some questions on how the chat can be accessed in the new site, and I'll let FX Street answer that question. And as soon as I get the question for that, I'll also let you know on during the show. So thanks a lot for joining in. We have also Ras welcome in now, and Try naturopathy, and we will definitely try that. We also hope that that is going to help our trading as well. All right, so let me say hello to everyone here from today's from the University of Toronto. Thanks for joining in. Here we are, University of Toronto, the King's College circle here, and I'll have a concert in 1 hour, so I'll keep the session a little bit briefer than normal, but no worries, it's going to be very packed. So thanks a lot for joining in, and let's get into our charts. That's the reason why we are here. And today we'll also share a very interesting personal story and recognition and recommendation I received today on LinkedIn. But let's dive into our charts very quickly. Let me Let me see there. Who else is joining here? Kerry, Ras, Roland, Try, um, Dion, and Adinda here. Thanks for joining in. So let's start from the SP500. What you see on the screen here is the SP500. As we mentioned, this market has pierced the previous highs, went into new territory here, and then of course, as a lot of people have been buying new highs here, the professional taking advantage of it, using that volume to actually sell their long position to recharge potentially at lower level. Now, this market could correct. I believe is going to continue higher, but could correct deeply here into 2051. Believe it or not, it's only 30 ticks here. But if this market does not pick up immediately at the those two highs here at 2066, this market could continue lower and retest at 2050. Nothing scary. This market has seen new highs. I believe this market is going to continue higher as well. Today's ECB, and let me make sure that you can see the charts here. So today's ECB decision has basically kept all the things as they are, no additional easing in and this was not a surprise. The heavy lifting has been done already, and this has affected the euro, as we're going to see very lightly. Hello Todd, hello Joe, hello Kerry, hello Lee. How are you? Long time no see. So we just started, and we commented on the dollar on the SP500. I can see 2050, and we are commenting on the dollar index. This market, after today's scare, typical behavior of the currency when we have these announcements, went down into that weekly area of potential support, has found participation again. So I have little doubt now that this market, what this market is going to do. It has confirmed that participation 3 times now. 96.20 is in the cards, and we're going to see that level eventually playing out. Gold has kept moving laterally. We had the intuition that silver might be stronger than gold. That's exactly what happened. While gold has corrected laterally, we have seen today again silver getting into our second target. We knew that level well in advance. I'm talking about level that I'm going to show here again. The first target, 1660, as traded 2 days ago. Yesterday we had a little lateral move, and today that market went right into that second target that we know well in advance, 1750, and then there was some profit taken at that level. So what can happen in this market at the moment? Don't anticipate and expect, should not expect anything from the market, but most importantly, we should not anticipate any strong move lower in this market. This market has two very clear levels where it can react to longs, and there was already a reaction today at that 1690. If the market moves below 1668, this market is going to see a larger retrace, but not that large after all, maximum into that 1570. Okay, so as you know, we hold long-term position in this market, and what we want to do, we want to try to add a little bit if this area is respected, and add much more if this market offers a gift and it corrects into the 1570. All right, so today I'm working on my laptop, so I'll have more difficulties going forth and back here between the chat and the chart. So be patient. A little bit of naughty day, and my loony trade pulled back severely. Todd, I've seen your tweet, and I'm going to comment on that in a minute. It has been a jerky day, jerky move here for all the markets. Euro dollar saw something very similar that we saw on the downside. On the upside for the dollar index, there was that jerky move, obviously during news announcement, but nothing has changed. As you can see, price started from 112.90, went to 113.90, 100 pips, and then back to where it started. So this was just noise. Unfortunately, that noise, if we had a position short here with a stop above highs, would have stopped us out if you are not ready to re-enter this market at highs. All right. So where this market is going, this market is moving to 111.40. That's still a valid level, and that would correspond to that dollar index moving into 96.40. The US dollar Japanese yen, as we mentioned yesterday, has the potential to keep moving higher into a much larger level, 111.25. If the dollar index actually corrects, that's a possible level. However, there is not an inverse correlation between the dollar index and US dollar Japanese yen as there is between the dollar index and the euro dollar. Sorry, it's not a positive correlation, of course. And the reason is that the Japanese yen is probably only around 11% or 13% of the currency index. Euro Australian dollar, we didn't comment on this market since a while here, since 2 weeks ago. However, this market, as you know, has participated to this short 150.71, and I mentioned 2 weeks ago that 141, 142 level first, and then 140.80 is the target for this market. So there's not really a lot to add. Whenever you participate in this long-term position, you just let the market let the market move. There is nothing to be done here. Yes, there is a triple test of this 144.80, but from an algorithm's viewpoint, very little importance to that. Let this market move and move into 140.80, and that would be quite interesting here, almost 1,000 pips. Euro Canadian dollar, this market is similar. It's in a similar move, and that area of participation weekly, indeed, it's not finding participation. So this market is in a very similar situation as its cows in euro, Australian dollar, and pushing into a first target 141.43. Just above that 141.20 that is our final target for this weekly trade on the weekly. The US dollar Canadian dollar is worrying. It seems to be making a lot of people worried, but there is nothing to worry because there is nothing sustaining this price. And some people invoke potential supply around these levels. There's not such a thing in my way I look at the markets. And in fact, the only area where we were eventually going to find some sort of participation, or at least testing longs, is going to be 120.60, as we mentioned. So again, what's happening here, we have this market at, again, down at we have this market again down at targets, Y targets of this inner move, as we saw here. As soon as price got into the 126.32, we have seen some profit taking, particularly yesterday, although the market has tested lower lows. Today we saw that profit taking there. There's nothing to worry. This market can continue higher as high as the next 4-hour area here, a short 127, 128, 790, 128. So nothing really to worry there. I'm just continuing in my analysis here. If you have any questions, you can just write them down, and I'll be very happy to answer them. So welcome again, Rusty on. Desi, Todd, Kerry, Roland, Try, Lee, Joe. Thanks for joining in. Let's continue our analysis here for 6 more minutes, and then I want to share with you a nice story, a success story, and I was right in the middle of it. I'm proud of being in the middle of it. Now, when we look at the New Zealand dollar, US dollar here, you know that this market has traded weekly longs and has the potential to move all the way to 0.7523. That's a weekly time frame, so that's not going to happen quickly. However, this market so far has confirmed on the daily time frame, has confirmed it's willing to move higher. We had a nice measured move here, 22 days, brought to first target, and the following measured moves have not been very clean here. But this market, in fact, found a participation at that first target again. What we are seeing today, it's a reaction to extension here. If this market stays above 68, 65, we're going to see higher price from here. And although that would not be suggested by the you move higher in the dollar index. So below 68, 65, this market is going to correct all the way and giving us a good opportunity to get long again. But most importantly, gives us an opportunity to get short in this market possibly into 67.01. Australian dollar, US dollar has been going to trade right into that 0.7750, which is an extension shot that we mentioned a few days back, and that's one of the reasons you're seeing that reaction, besides everything that's happening on in the news with the dollar index. So that's one of the reasons we are seeing that. We also saw this market trading right into that first target of that extension that we have been seeing, we have been following in the last few days. Since the beginning of April, we had this trade. The market reacted to this level. Initially, it was uncertain. Then, there was a pause, and then it continued right into that first target. So this market is reacting to weekly short as well as profit taking at this area, the 177.43. So what is going to happen next? If this market does not continue higher, it has a lot to retrace here into the next measured move, and that's a 90% retrace of the last move. That's not impossible. So if you're in a short, keep your short into 75.45. If this market is gonna move lower and then bounce higher, there's gonna be an opportunity to short this market. All right, one more market, and then I want to share with you an interesting story. The weekly of the pound here is showing a lateral move. The pound has recently reached a weekly target of a move that started around the 159 area here. On the daily time frame, we have put in evidence the lateral move, but we also have given the 141.40 level that has the potential to push this price higher. Now, pound tends to move together with the euro, so if the dollar moves lower, this market is gonna retest the 141.36 again. So if the euro moves lower and the dollar moves higher, the pound might move lower as well. All right, so thanks for following here, and thanks for staying. Now, before I continue, let me say hello to you from the University of Toronto today. As you will see a different background here. There's nothing behind. It's just a wall, and that's me. Thanks for joining in. And besides saying hello and thanking you for your kind words and tweets on Twitter, I also want to share a story here today. I was very glad to receive this testimony and recommendation from my friend and student and helper, as you will see, Benjamin Charbonneau. Benjamin is currently the senior sales executive for Canada of CMC Market. But read the interesting story here. Let me share it with you. I was actually Giuseppe's personal trainer at the Good Life Fitness Club in North York. Good Life, it's a national chain of gyms in Canada. When our path crossed, as you can see from my profile, before 2014, I had no knowledge or interest in trading. It was only after a few months of training this workaholic of a man, which would be me, did I start taking an interest in his extracurricular activities. I registered for his course and attended the first webinar. I must admit that even with a finance degree, I was lost. I didn't have much experience with the stock market, never mind Forex or currency trading. He sent me a few resources and told me to study the basics, and then I'd be able to pick up the course again in a few weeks. Without writing my whole life story here, through a recommendation, I will summarize the events that came next. And this is, this surprised me as well, because as we were going through this, I could not imagine what would happen next. So at the time, and I'm still are the host of the FX3 Toronto Forex meetup and FX3 session. So uh, the first point here, on October 4, 2014, I attended the first FibStalker webinar. On October 2014, at the end of the month, I quit my second job at Good Life to free up additional study time. In December 2014, I invited Ben to participate and come to speak at the FS Street event, the FS Street Toronto meetup, because I wanted him to share his experience picking up trading. So I was the keynote speaker for the December FS Street event entitled "How to Start Trading Like a Professional," and there is also a link that actually I wanna share with you. And I'm going to share with you right away here. So have a look at that whenever you have time. All right. So as we continue here, this is quite fun, actually funny actually. January 2015, CMC Market, which is the sponsor of our Toronto event recruited Ben as their sales executive. This is outstanding from a presentation he did and from the understanding that he got um, about how the markets and Forex work in 3 months. Basically, he was, after 3 months, recruited as a sales executive. In April 2016 and beyond, he became a respected Forex mentor and licensed futures representative. In a nutshell, in a period of 2 years, I went from knowing absolutely nothing about the world of trading to being a senior sales executive of one of the best brokers in Canada. But that's not the only point. Ben trade himself very successfully too, using the FibStalker levels. So I would like to sincerely thank Giuseppe for his guidance and wisdom and his many hours of patience with me as he taught me his trade. Thanks a lot, Ben, for sharing your experience, and I'm glad I actually was was able to do something for you in order to create new opportunities in your working life as well as your training. So I just wanted to share this because I feel very I feel happy with my help and activity. I could help Ben not only learning trading but also earning a great job. So just wanted to I felt I wanted to share this. So let's go back to our charts and continue here. So let's see what they are. Here we go. And here we go. Okay, so let's continue here. So we were at the Australian dollar, Japanese yen. This market has traded. It's very much like the New Zealand dollar, US dollar here. This market has traded weekly longs. They have been confirmed 3 times, 1, 2, and 3 here. Recently, this market has seen a strong selling here, but as the weekly have already committed, there was only a business on the daily time frame, and this market now has resumed its move higher. Now, this market it's not in a clean move here, and I believe it's very possible to sorry, on the weekly time frame, it's not in a clean move, but on the daily it is. And the first target here of this participation that happened again on Sunday, open on Sunday or Monday, Tokyo Open, we saw the market basically gapping down and then just continuing higher into that first target. So next level of for this move long has not been tested yet. If the market gets into 84.20, we should be able to see a new continuation higher. We just double check if there are any questions there, if you have any questions. Thanks, Todd. Todd is saying, well done, G. You are a wealth of knowledge, awesome testimonial. Thanks a lot, Todd. I'm really glad for Ben's success and the understanding and opportunities getting from understanding how price moves. We were commenting on, we commented on the Australian dollar, Japanese yen. Let's move to the Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar here. And this market is much more, it's much crazier than you would believe. Indeed, among the markets I trade, this has been so far and by long the most difficult market for me to trade. Where are we in this market? We have to start from the weekly time frame to understand that this market is actually correcting higher into 119 here. Okay, now we are 112. There is 700 pips to go. The question is how is going to get there. When we look at this market, we had for 2 years here a lateral move, and this market is now coming out of that lateral move. And in fact, we saw 107.20, 107.30 area started working. This market is now in an extension and has the potential to get into that target area between 117.66 and 119. So how do we take advantage of that? Now, the longs here I've traded already. It was an extension long from lows to highs, and in reality, algos for some reason have not used that level, but they used a lower level that can only be identified after the first test. But it was good enough because we could use that for the second test as well. And the market tested this level 110.50 and tested it again a second time, and then we saw that move higher, which broke the back of the shorts, and is now that move higher is now continuing, and it has the potential to push this price much higher above previous highs here. Okay, Euro Pound, more than one followers have asked me about this market. This market has been moving the last 2 weeks into that area that we mentioned 2 weeks ago, 078.90, and it's now reacting at that level. So we also mentioned another level in case 78.32 does not hold. We're going to see this market into 77.60. Right. So the point here is that always we have to keep in mind what this market is doing on the larger time frames, and on the larger time frames, this market it's actually in the process of, this market is in a short, it's in a very long-term short, and it's in the process of finding that next short. And one area that you are going to consider is the 83.55. So see, for the market to move lower, it has to move higher. It's kind of an inversion, and that's the reason why price action confounds a lot of people, because for the market to go in one direction, it has to go first in the other direction. For the market to find a strong participation on the weekly time frame from larger time frame, the market has to move into that level first. So how do we get the path of least resistance? By studying and applying these models that I'm showing you on some of the time frame. We apply them on all time frames, monthly, weekly, daily, 4 hour, 15 minutes, and we use also the models on 15 minutes and 1 minute to time these markets. All right, so this market is so on top of a potential area of support. If we don't see that area of support working, this market is going to find the next area of support. And another level that we have to keep into account is the 70.01, which I have not shown before. It is important for market to find good and strong support level to bring price higher into weekly and monthly level charts. Okay, so that's the way the market works. And of course, it works vice versa, and it works the same way on all time frames. Let's review our last three markets here, and then we are going to, I'll let you go. This market, European, Japanese yen, you have to keep in mind always the big picture. This market might seem still seem to be in a short, but the reality is that we knew that weekly had to be tested the 122 level. Now, if you remember in the past, I mentioned that level. I also mentioned that the level was never tested. And in fact, the first time it was tested, it was this week, and it found participation. So you have to be very, very careful short in this market. There is no short for me in this market, although this market has followed the same pattern that euro-related pairs have shown today because of the news. But the reality is that this market has found weekly participation long and short in this market. If you don't understand that, short in this market can be very, very dangerous activity for you. And in fact, 123.33 has already participated on the long side on the smaller time frame. So be very, very careful in shorting this price. And one should then extend the same to the pound Japanese yen, with the addition that the pound Japanese yen has indeed showed participation in this weekly long area once and twice. However, we also mentioned that there is a daily level, opposing daily level that has traded. I have not it on the daily, but I have it on the weekly here. It has traded and is pushing this price lower. If we look at the euro Japanese yen reaction higher, and the fact that all the weeklies also participated in the pound Japanese yen, we would anticipate continue to move higher now when we study that price. But so far, the price has reacted to daily short. So daily shorts are still in control, at least on their time frame, while weekly longs are also in control on the weekly time frame. So it's a battle between these two time frames. Finally, I want to close with the Canadian versus Japanese yen. Let me check if there are any questions there. Iras. So I don't know if you wanted to write anything there. Feel free to ask any questions. So let me continue in the meantime, and I'm going to close with the Canadian versus Japanese yen here. This market has been also trading on the downside. We identified an important level that is now traded on the weekly for a number of times here. That area of potential short is still valid and is being tested again this week. Actually, has been tested again today, and that's one of the reasons we are seeing the reaction. We had the reaction lower here, reaction at these levels here, which gave not only a risk-free trade but also a sizable trade here. Reaction in this area above these levels, which again confirmed shorts, and shorts are confirmed here a number of times. But and I believe that as this measure move is not well formed here, I think we have the potential now to see a retest of 84.36. All right. So I will not do a recap today because we touched basically all the markets I follow and all the markets I trade. If you have any specific questions, I'd be happy to answer the question now. Otherwise, I will just wish you a great evening. Thanks, Ras, Dion, Desi, Todd, Kerry, Roland, Try, Lee, and Joe. I want to say, I want to wish you a great evening. I hope this was useful. We touched basically on all the markets, so you should have enough information to either bring your current trades to target. Consider today is Thursday, so tomorrow is Friday. the activity is going to be very limited. So if you have gains, and if your gains are close to targets, by all means, for example, in case of silver, take your profits out of the table and enjoy your Friday. I'm going to see you next Monday at 7 p.m. as usual. So thanks a lot. Thanks, Joe, Ras, Dion. I'll see you on. On Monday. Thanks a lot, and I just want to remind you that I still have a couple of seats left for my FibStalker Methods coaching program. I typically do sessions of 15 students, and this is my fourth session. This has been a very successful coaching program. It's not a course; it's a coaching program. I actually teach you the mechanics of trading, the mechanics of how algos can be modeled with the levels I show in all time frames. I also talk about trading system. I give you 7 trading system, and then we work together to build profitability first and consistency. And there are techniques I use, risk reduction trading, very, very important. I would introduce you to my FibStalking timing technique and how to procedurally execute it. So if you are interested, get on my newsletter. You can actually, if you're not on my newsletter, I'll leave you the link you can use to if you want to subscribe. I'm going to offer in the next 3 days. I'm going to offer an additional discount on the entry price. It's a monthly fee, so it's very it's finance friendly as well. All right, so thanks a lot for being here today, and I'm going to see you tomorrow. Bye bye now. Sorry, tomorrow. My tomorrow is the trading tomorrow. So it's going to be Monday at 7 p.m. Bye bye now.